Namaskar. First off, a happy Deepavali to all our viewers, and apologies for a slight delay in bringing our guest today. Our guest today is Utsav Chakrabarti, and he belongs to the organization Hindu Pact. And we have a very interesting discussion today, a hangout today, if you will, of an event that took place yesterday in New York. Utsav, welcome to P Guru's channel, and how are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm good, Shri, and happy Deepavali to you and everybody out there listening to us. A very interesting set of events that happened in New York yesterday.
Absolutely. And first off, I think one of the organizers said that, look, we didn't choose this. It was the radio station that chose it. So, as we go through this narrative, perhaps you can also fill in what happened and how this thing happened. Because it saddens me that Hindus don't really seem to know, which cause to support. And some blindfolding is happening. I mean, we have been talking about Hindus for human rights as a front for something else, and how many people came out and said that yes, this is true? Nobody seems to want to do research. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Tell me when you would like to have the presentation start, and I'll take it away.
Please go ahead. We can start with the first slide, and then we can discuss the background, and as well as we can start answering into the details of what happened and how it happened.
Go ahead, sir. I have the first slide up.
Perfect. So what happened is that a couple of days ago, this became public news. In a very prominent, it's one of the more prominent places in New York that it's a public theater. So, people can go and rent spaces there, and people can do, events in these places. So this is one of those places in New York, has a lot of history, is quite prominent. It is quite well known amongst people of New York. It's actually in Brooklyn. So one such venue, was advertising an event, and it came to the attention of the community. So people approached this organization that was hosting this event, and they tried to find out. It's called Bell House, New York, prominent historical place almost in Brooklyn. They were hosting a Deepavali event, and it has the usual typical Deepavali event of New York. A lot of American-born Hindus and people from the Indian subcontinent coming together. Nothing unusual about the event in general. The party was going to be hosted by seemingly Hindu sounding names: Arti Golapudi, Maya Deshmukh, Aparna Nancherla, Pooja Reddy, Sunita Mani, Proma Khosla, typical second generation, third generation American Hindu event. Except that one of the participants was a person named Zubi Ahmad, and in the event promotion, and I have boxed out in red rectangle here. It said that the proceeds from this event would go to Al Khidmat Foundation, which supports relief efforts in Pakistan. And I think initially most people in New York and most American Hindu communities did not pay attention to this. This was just sounding Islamic sounding name, possibly something in Pakistan that was meant for something good. But it came to the attention of many people online, including experts in UK, and they brought it to the attention of the community that this doesn't look right. So once it came out that Al Khidmat Foundation was being supported from the proceeds of the event, people started looking into what Al Khidmat Foundation is, and we have at Hindu Pact also looked at it before, and that raised some serious alarms. And I'll tell you the reason why if you go to the next slide. So Al Khidmat Foundation, keep going to the next one. So Al Khidmat Foundation is a charity arm of the Jamaat-e-Islami. And its president, Hafiz Naeem ur Rahman, is also the president of Jamaat-e-Islami's Karachi chapter. And interestingly, in 2006, Al Khidmat Foundation had sent 6 million Pakistani rupees to Hamas, which is a designated terrorist group. For those of you who follow the Middle East politics, Hamas is considered terrorist by almost all European countries, as well as by America. It is responsible for the killing of many innocent people, both Muslims and Jews in Israel. Very active in Gaza. In fact, many parts of Gaza is controlled by Hamas. And what you see to the right of the screen here that Shri is showing is a newspaper article. It's actually from the archives. The article had been taken down from 2006, which says, how uh, Hamas had been given 6 million rupees, Pakistani rupees, by Al Khidmat Foundation, from Al Khidmat Foundation. So, and this is from 2006. So, we just want to make sure that everybody sees the evidence. So that's number one. If you continue to the next slide, uh, this is something closer to home for people of the Indian subcontinent. Al Khidmat Foundation also partners with Hizbul Mujahideen. And for those of you who are aware, Hizbul Mujahideen is the largest Islamist terrorist organization in Kashmir. There are some of the key organizations that operate in Kashmir: Lashkar-e-Toiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, and Hizbul Mujahideen being the three main designated ones. And they are declared as a terrorist organization by the United States and the United Nations. So Hizbul Mujahideen, if you know, has a lot of support in America. And I think in one of my previous discussions with you, Shri, we had looked into how Ghulam Nabi Fai, Stand with Kashmir, both groups connected to Jamaat-e-Islami have strong support for Hizbul Mujahideen, which is the armed wing of Jamaat-e-Islami in Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir. So Hizbul Mujahideen is directly related to Jamaat-e-Islami as well. So that this article again, it's from Arti Tikku, just came two years ago. Also shows how Al Khidmat Foundation, if you see the red rectangle, the aids Jamaat's armed wing Hizbul Mujahideen and is based out of Muzaffarabad in Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir. So these are the two closer to home organizations from the American perspective and the Indian subcontinent perspectives that our friends who hosted this event in New York should have been aware of. I'm pretty sure they were not aware of it. And, in their desire to sound secular and look like they are, whatever, woke term I would want to use, they went ahead and supported Al Khidmat Foundation without realizing, I believe, the connection to terrorist groups like this. Not to mention further, if you go to the next slide, and this is something I had covered in my previous discussion with you, actually. It just
Yes.
fit into the conversation today as well, so I kept the slides. Jamaat-e-Islami itself is a pan-Islamist organization from the Indian subcontinent that has strong support for Islamist activities in the Indian subcontinent. If you go to the next slide, you will see how the 1971 genocide was also conducted and participated by the Jamaat-e-Islami. Motiur, Rahman, Nizami being the chief architect of that effort. So this is just the overview, Shri, of what happened yesterday and the background of the organization that our friends, the Hindu community that many of these people belong to, ended up supporting as part of their event. Back to you.
So, first off, let's say there was a genuine mistake because they said that it was Bell House who chose the recipient, and we were just invited by Bell House to perform, and that's what we did. First off, how did the event go, in your opinion? Was it a full house or was it decently attended?
I actually don't know. I don't have the full information on it. Our effort was to use the occasion and sensitize our audiences as much as we can, because a lot of the people who follow our Twitter account are in America and are young American Hindus. So that was the reason why we brought it out yesterday.
Right.
But I'm not fully aware of what actually happened in Well House.
So let's take a quick look at Maududi's children. Do you want to talk about this, or we just want to leave it for a later
I just
date?
wanted to quickly go through this.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. So we discussed about how Jamaat-e-Islami and Al Khidmat Foundation are connected at the hip when it comes to supporting Hamas and Hizbul Mujahideen. to designated terrorist organization. I just wanted to further say that this is not the first time they are doing this. They have been doing this since 1940s. In 1971, Jamaat-e-Islami's leaders, key leaders, were responsible for the 1971 genocide. Moulana Delwar Hossain Sayedi was convicted of war crimes uh, and for killing Hindus and Muslims in 1971. And he forced Hindus to convert to Islam in Bangladesh. That's one. If you go to the next slide, I think there is one more individual who is, yeah. So Asrafuddin Khan, another Jamaat-e-Islami activist who resides in America, in New York, and is part of ICNA. He was also another person who was convicted of participating in 1971 genocide. Now, if you noticed, Hindus for Human Rights, another organization with a Hindu name and Hindu sounding activists in them, also closely partners with ICNA, which is the organization that is the representative of Jamaat-e-Islami and its supporters in America. So, all in all, if you look at the big picture, you see that in places like New York and some other parts of America where there is a lot of urban Hindu population, young American Hindus with very little understanding of the geopolitics of Indian subcontinent, there is a concerted effort by organizations like Jamaat-e-Islami and their Islamist branches in America to drag in Hindus with very little knowledge of the geopolitics to serve as their fundraisers. So this is not the first time this is happening. I think this is a pattern that is emerging over a period of time, and it is important for our community to understand it.
One important thing that I want all our viewers to understand is that these organizations seem to have unlimited funds, unlimited amount of time, and they do careful planning. They cherry pick their representatives from the Hindu American community. And when they go and pick the young Hindu Americans, essentially what are they doing? They're cutting off Sanatana Dharma at its roots. Once the new generation is no longer Hindu and they start spewing venom at their own religion, then essentially in the areas where these people are spreading, Sanatana Dharma is out. This is the big challenge that is facing America, Hindu Americans today. And Utsav, thank you so much for putting together this information. There's a lot of research here. I'm going to the next slide, sir. Go ahead. You are muted. Utsav, you are muted. Can you start again, please?
Okay. Oh, sorry about that. So this is a continuation of the point that I was trying to make before, where in 2022, I show flyers of two events in which Indian American Muslim Council and Hindus for Human Rights participated with ICNA, which is the American connection and American connect of Jamaat-e-Islami. And so what you see here is that this is a pattern. This Deepavali event in Bell House was not an one-off event. It's a pattern of American Muslims who are using Hindu festivals to recruit and fund Islamist and terror activities in Pakistan using Hindu resources. I mean, it cannot get worse than that. It is the worst it can be. And it's a very well organized thing. If you notice, Pakistani leadership, Pakistani political leadership has been visiting America every few weeks to drum up support for the so-called flood reliefs in Pakistan using American resources, both public resources and taxpayer government resources, taxpayer-funded government. So this is part of a larger plan. And mind you, Khidmat Foundation name also came up in another serious scam that emerged 2 years ago, and that is the COVID scam. It was alleged that part of the COVID funds raised by Islamic Medical Association of North America for so-called COVID relief in India was actually diverted to Pakistan and Khidmat Foundation using Pakistani channels. So, if you were saying that they have a lot of money and they seem to have limitless resources, part of it is because a lot of money is given to them by our community and that is being used for activities.
Use our own money to burn us down. And see, this is not one event. but I just want to try and open the eyes of the newer generation to make sure that you understand the vessel into which you are putting your proceeds. There's a Tamil saying, Utsav, "Pattiram arindu pichai podu." Even when you are giving alms to somebody, to a beggar, for example, make sure you know what the vessel is. Look at the vessel, assert, ensure that the vessel is right before you put the arms. I mean, it might have been a different context, but I'm just trying to say that it is now important for all who want to donate. It's a goodness in your heart, yes. Please make sure that it goes to the right organization, that it doesn't get swallowed in the middle, and also it doesn't get used against you. In my opinion, so the Hindu Americans, British Hindus, they like to put the British ahead of the Hindus, and the Hindus in India. We're all being slow cooked. It's only the setting on the burner that is different. And I hope you understand it in that context. There are many people who don't like this in all communities. They don't like what is going on, except only now a few of us, you, me, and a few other people, are making some noise about this and saying, like, wait a minute, there's a problem here. And that's what is the thing that we need to understand. Keep the big picture in mind. Everybody has a right to a prosperous, happy life, and religion has no place in that. That's my 2 cents. Utsav, if you would like to bring a conclusion on for this particular hangout, you can do that, and then we can call it a wrap.
Yeah, we just wanted to say that this is part of a, everybody needs to understand this is part of a larger pattern, and I keep reiterating that fact. These are not one-off incidents. There is a strategic effort in place for that. If you were following the anti-CAA protests 2 years ago, a year and a half ago in America, a certain segment of the American Hindu population was mobilized. A segment that is, largely independent-minded, disconnected from the politics and the knowledge of the Indian subcontinent and the history of the Indian subcontinent. Second generation, third generation American Hindus. They were misled and mobilized to protest against Hindus in India. And that was a pattern that emerged from that time. I was very alarmed when that was happening, and I saw the efforts being made by the Islamists in that direction. And I think what you see here and what you will continue to see is a continuation of that effort. It is to reduce the human resources on the Hindu side, multiply the human resources on the Islamist side. It has been tried and tested in other parts of the world, especially against community, the Jewish American community. It has been attempted and in some places successful also. But Hindu Americans are far more vulnerable. Makes it even more important for us to educate our youth, educate about the history of the region, and expose the agenda of organizations like Jamaat. Very, very pernicious, very, very dangerous.
And for those of you who are wondering if we have Abhijit tonight, unfortunately, we do not. I think all of us should go out and burst some crackers. And I'm going to do that in the evening. But then San Jose has some limitations on what we can and what we cannot do. So I have to be mindful of that. I don't want the police knocking on my door saying that, look, you said you're going to burst crackers. It's a no as far as San Jose is concerned. There are a lot of limitations to that. Any rate, so thank you so much, Utsav, for taking time out on a holiday. I know some of us are not having a holiday. I mean, for sure, I don't have. And also, please stay safe and be responsible when you burst your firecrackers. Make sure that your new clothes stay new. Sometimes this churka, the churka can fly anywhere. So be careful of it doesn't find its way back to your newly bought thousands of rupees or dollars worth of material. Thank you so much, Utsav. Namaskar.
Namaste. Namaste.